Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming Last Chance Qualifier for the $20,000 Invitational for tomorrow. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Ross Merriam. Say hi, Ross.
Hi, Ross.
We got 2 rounds down, 3 more to go. We're going to be starting round 3 number here. Tyler Price on Jeskai Control versus Toby Finley on Rakdos Scam.
Yeah, Jeskai controlled this. Tyler actually played yesterday. I believe finished in the top 8, went 3-2, so
Hmm.
a good run, but just a little bit short. Starting out better today. A really cool deck list. Has 4 copies of the One Ring instead of something like Big Teferi, Hero of Dominaria,
Sure.
as his main source of card advantage. Also playing a ton of Evoke creatures as 4 Solitude and 4 Subtlety.
Yeah, that's really strong with the huge draw engine that the One Ring
Yeah,
provides.
and then the very typical Disruption suite has Fire Ice, Prismatic Ending, Leyline Binding, Supreme Verdict, Counterspell. Also has a couple copies of Narset, which I think is not going to be as relevant in this matchup, but could play well in a lot of the other matchups that he faces. Going to be playing against the boogeyman of the format, Rakdos Scam, Toby
Yeah.
Finley. Toby took down our buddy Bomat last round.
No, unfortunate.
Uh,
But the scam deck is quite strong, and it's no surprise that it actually, whenever it wins, it's like, yeah, yeah, we
yeah,
get it.
has a couple copies of Shieldred in the main, very good against the One Ring, and also 2 copies of Molten Collapse, newly legal and newly printed card. Could help answer, a Teferi Time Raveler or a Narset, keep some of that card advantage at bay.
Mm.
Certainly better than Terminate in this matchup.
Alrighty, well, the players are ready in the feature match area, so let's head on down there and see who takes it down between Tyler Price's Jeskai Control and Toby Finley's Rakdos Scam. These players here are both going to be 2-0, and you're going to see mostly undefeated players here in our feature match area for the last chance qualifier. 1 loss doesn't knock you out of the tournament, but 2 certainly does, and we'll see if either of these players can win this round and keep their dreams alive.
Yeah, 1 loss, and you were in a sort of tiebreaker scrum to try to make our top 4 after the straight Swiss rounds. But if you started 2-0 or 3-0 after winning this, your tiebreaker should be pretty good.
All right, Finley here on the draw with Rakdos Scam. We'll see if he has anything for turn number 1. Here's Thoughtseize. Going to take a look at a hand from Tyler Price. We see Counterspell, Subtlety, the One Ring, and some lands. My guess, we're probably just going to take the One Ring. That card's pretty gross.
Yeah, you got to figure the games are going to go long. There's a ton of early disruption in the control deck, so just take their sources of card advantage and grind them out.
Yeah, if there's a powerful 2-drop potential, maybe taking Counterspell is on the table as well for Finley. Dothi Voidwalker on 2 or Dash Ragavan, something like that might pose a little bit of a problem. But for the most part, I think you just take the One Ring, hope for the best. To note, I believe Finley had the ability to turn 1 a Fury with Not Dead After All and chose not to. That's not 100%, but I think I saw those in hand.
Well, decides to go for the counterspell, so might be setting up this turn 2 Fury, knowing that there's no other answer to it.
Right.
There is a subtlety, though, so if Tyler Price finds a blue source, that plan could go up in smoke. Or not a blue source, but a blue card, excuse
Right.
me.
I got it. I'm picking up what you're putting down, Ross.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Here's a Zagoth Triumph from Tyler Price out of the Jeskai deck. This is simply to enable a cheap Leyline Binding, but with 3 other lands in hand, this is a very easy pickup.
Yeah, easy to just get that out of the way.
All right, we're going to go back Tyler Price's way. Draws an island for turn, so going to be a little bit vulnerable to this Fury scammed next turn. We'll see if Finley wants to go for it. He only has 1 land, finds a second land. We'll see if he has the Dothi Voidwalker lined up instead.
It's interesting because the Voidwalker is obviously much less committal. You're not going to get blown out, but the longer you wait on this Fury plan, the more likely it's not going to work.
Right.
Getting 1 attack in with your 4 power double striker is quite valuable. Finley decides to play it slow.
Yep, we're going to go ahead and fetch in responses to make sure the Voidwalker doesn't eat the Flooded Strand. Not that it matters too much, but Tyler Price wanted to keep his graveyard as intact as possible. Finds Rogran Triumph, so now the domain is unlocked. We have 1 cost Leyline Bindings for the rest of the game.
Just needs to find some action.
Yeah, bunch of lands in hand. We drew an island for turn last turn. Not what you want to be seeing. Finds Solitude.
It's a little awkward. We have Solitude and the Subtlety, and no cards to pitch to either of them for Evoke.
3 to
Oh, we
buy.
can buy the Kira. So that
Yeah.
gives us a white card for the Solitude.
Yeah, I don't mind just go ahead and eating the Voidwalker either. This is one thing I really liked about Yorion when it was legal in Modern was that it was something you could buy on 3 for Solitude that allowed you essentially to turn Solitude from minus a card Swords to Plowshares to a 3-cost Swords to Plowshares. Kahira adds that same element here, and it's very strong. Attack here for 3 with Voidwalker, and we're going to see if Finley wants to get aggressive. We have Bolt, we have Fury, and we have Not Dead After All.
Oof. Going for it now, and this is the turn where Price has an answer.
Well, if he went for it last turn, he would have gotten in 0 damage because
Yeah.
the Solitude would have eaten it anyway. So it's very similar to what happened. Nothing changes. We actually got in 3 extra damage doing what we did instead.
Yeah, effectively needed to go for it on turn 1,
Mm-hmm.
which is hard to do when you have in this matchup when you have the Thoughtseize. So yeah, things actually looking pretty good for Tyler Price if he can find an answer to this Dothy Voidwalker, and he's going to have some time to do it because the One Ring is still sitting around there.
Okay, draws for turn. Now, a big punish coming for Toby Finley. That One Ring is going to fog him for a turn as well as start drawing a bunch of cards.
Yeah, Toby took the line on with the Thoughtseize to try to set up this Fury, and it didn't work. And now the punish is your opponent has access to the One Ring, and you're low on resources. They're still at a healthy life total. Things are looking good for Jeskai Control.
All right. Fury does get moved to exile thanks to our esteemed director. Thank you so much for correcting that. Now, here comes the One Ring. With this trigger, we get the fog effect. Let's get the One Ring on the screen. This is one of the more iconic Magic cards printed in the last 12 months.
How can we get the One Ring on the screen when it's on the battlefield? There's only one of them.
There's 4 in the deck. I know you're making a bit. It's a tough bit to punch through. Anyway, here's the One Ring. Golem reaching for it as it falls into Mount Doom. 4-cost indestructible artifact. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you gain protection from everything until your next turn, which means attacks don't work, Thoughtseizes don't work, burn spells don't work. And then it says at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the One Ring. And then you can tap it to put a burden counter on the ring and draw a card. It is a legendary artifact, so redundant copies can remove the original copy with a lot of burden counters on it, which generates a very big draw engine with very little downside. No attack here from the Voidwalker because of the protection effect. We do have the ability to cast Solitude off Voidwalker if we want.
Now, does Price find some interaction? A Supreme Verdict here would be excellent. Even just a Solitude of his own.
All right, land number 5.
It's like a lot of lands. I think the hand is subtlety, 2 subtleties and 3 lands. Maybe something else.
All right, let's see if Finley wants to attack with one or both of the Voidwalkers. Either of them now can cast Solitude, and so if your opponent ever goes to kill one, you can just sack it and play a flash creature. And I think if you ever attack with one, it just leaves it vulnerable, so maybe he just doesn't want to do that. But now the shields are going to go down a little bit. Here's Subtlety going to come in and tag the Rogovan, and now Finley has to decide, do I want that on top of the deck or the bottom? My guess is bottom, but he does have the new Molten Collapse in hand that can remove the Subtlety next turn.
Yeah, but you can't Molten Collapse and dash the Rogovan.
Right. But luckily, Rogovan has 2 ways to play it. Right, we are going to leave it on top, so I feel like that is going to be the thing we go for next turn.
And with Price tapped low, I think if Finley's got to get aggressive here. You can attack him down to 7. He's going to take 2 from the One Ring, going to go down to 5. One more Dothy Voidwalker getting through is enough to potentially end the game.
All right, let's see if Tyler can stem the bleeding here. He's down to 7. If he fetches, he's down to 6, and then the One Ring puts him to 4. Very scary stuff. It's one of
Yeah.
the reasons why you don't see the One Ring in blue-white control that often. While it's an awesome draw effect, you do need ways to gain life to offset the burden counters. A huge pickup for Tyler Price in Supreme Verdict. Nice rip.
Yeah, so Verdict will answer the creatures on the battlefield. There is still the Rogavan on the top of the deck that you have to be concerned about. I don't think there's a good answer for it.
Well, let's start by drawing 3 cards, maybe. Probably find some way out. Maybe another One Ring.
Yeah, another ring would be nice. Just buy you a lot of time. You are at 5. Price might be thinking about waiting a turn to put the counter on. It goes for the 3 cards.
Land Verdict and I think another Subtlety.
Well, so now we can Verdict plus evoke a subtlety to stop the Rogavan dash. And that gives you another turn. You'll fall to 2 on your upkeep from the One Ring, and you'll draw 4 more cards plus your card for turn. Hopefully find both an answer to the Rogavan and a way to stop the One Ring, either a second copy of the One Ring itself or a Teferi Time Raveler to bounce it.
Right. All right, here comes the Verdict. It's going to knock off the Subtlety in both Dothy Voidwalkers. And they're all going to go to the graveyard, I believe.
Voidwalker will see the other creature. It won't see the Supreme Verdict.
Okay, so Subtlety gets exiled, and then Verdict goes to the graveyard. I think that's right.
Yeah, because the creatures get put to the graveyard as part of Supreme Verdict resolving, and then Supreme Verdict goes to the graveyard as the last part of it resolving after the creatures have already gone to the graveyard. This interacts differently if you answer Dothy Voidwalker with any sort of damage-based spell or say like a -2/-2 effect, like a Disfigure, because then the creature won't go to the graveyard until after the spell is done resolving when state-based actions are taken.
All right, Verdict to graveyard. Subtlety to the Dothy Voidwalker pile. We're going to get confirmation from the head judge real quick. That's what they're asking for right now.
Yeah, but the Subtlety and the Voidwalkers go to the graveyard at the same time. That's the old Chroma's Vengeance, Disciple of the Vault rule.
Yeah, sure.
Emphasis on old.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think I've gotten hit with the Chroma's Vengeance when I was playing Fairies one time, or when I was playing Affinity like one time. It was horrible. Absolutely.
Yeah, usually they were dead before they got to 6 mana.
I played mostly Ravager Affinity and Block Constructed. When it was in Standard, I didn't play that much. I played Goblins. I was a big Sparksmith guy. I was so young. It's like looking back on my life through Magic card sets. It's so weird.
Okay, here's the Dash Rogavan.
We have the Subtlety.
We have Subtlety, Verdict, and another Subtlety. So yeah, decides to pitch Verdict because the other Subtlety can at least answer the Rogavan next turn if we find, say, a Teferi and bounce the One Ring.
I'm gonna put it on bottom, hopefully finding Lightning Bolt or something similar. Maybe just hoping the One Ring ends the game for him. But Tyler Price here can draw 4 cards looking for another copy of the One Ring.
That's a blue to Delta, not very good.
Nope.
Okay, gotta fire it up.
Yeah, draw 4. Let's go. Draw 4. Take your base. We need a ring or some way to bounce the ring.
I think
Oh,
Steam Vents,
no.
Narset, Solitude, Verdict.
I figured out a way out.
So Narset can find either another ring or a Teferi.
I had a different way out. It was pitch Subtlety to nothing, cast Solitude, eat it, go to 5.
There's a copy of the One Ring. Now, do we have an untapped land and an island to fetch for with the Delta? I'm not sure if we do.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot of fetch lands and Steam Vents.
Okay, well, we find the copy of the One Ring. Let's see if Price has an untapped land that doesn't deal him damage. I know the blue-white decks often play quite a few. We see many of those in play already. If it's another fetch.
There's a Plains in hand.
Okay, well, that with a 3rd basic island in the deck can do it.
So there's 5 basic islands.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, we can just fetch 2 islands.
or 2.
Oh.
So we can, but that would be a problem.
Or we die. Are you sure there was a plains in hand?
I thought it was a Plains. There's 3 Plains in the deck.
Yeah, I just saw plains. I think he just
So,
ooh, no.
do we have 2 cards to pitch to Subtlety and Solitude? Can we throw our entire hand away? There's a
I
verdict.
see. Yeah, I do see a verdict, but we need one other white or blue card. But I think it's all lands.
Yeah, I think the hand is verdict,
It
solitude,
was a
subtlety.
arid mesa. It wasn't a plains. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. Okay. We thought it was a blunder, but it was just a
yeah.
stranglehold. Now we can upkeep, put burden on the stack, right? Draw 5. Maybe some way to gain life with solitudes in that vein.
Yeah, all your only creatures are solitudes and subtleties. That's only going to gain you 3 life.
Yeah, but we draw 5 cards. Maybe we draw extra iterations of that little mini combo.
I guess we would just need another solitude because then you solitude the first solitude along with the subtlety
Oh my god.
and
Pooping
gain
back and forth
6.
forever. Great. Love it. All right. Burden's on the stack. Let's draw 5. So we
Oh
can
no.
cast Subtlety, pitch Solitude to Solitude, eat it. Oh, pitch Solitude to Verdict to eat it.
Yeah, but then we go to 1 and we're sort of in the same boat.
Well, we go to 1, and then we can draw cards, and we can do it again next turn. I don't know, man. We gotta do what we gotta do. This is why. Look. You play the One Ring, it's gonna make you do some cursed things. All right, draw 5 cards in response. Oh my God, draw 5 cards in response. Thank you. Okay.
I don't know.
Finds counterspell.
Oh, there's the Teferi we needed. There's another.
We can fetch to 1, but then we're gonna take 5 damage from the burden counters.
Yeah, we can fetch to 1, counterspell the bolt, gain 3, go to 4, but then take 5 from the One Ring trigger and go to -1. And wow, this game was looking so good for Tyler Price, but the first few turns with the One Ring didn't really yield anything relevant, and he just ended up a little squeezed here because of all those fetch lands and shock lands.
All right, packs it in. 1-0, Toby Finley. We're going to be moving to the sideboard. As these players reach for those sideboards to improve their matchup, I'm going to reach over next door to me and ask Mr. Ross Merriam, give me your expert analysis. How do you think the Jeskai control deck from Tyler Price is going to sideboard versus this Rakdos scam deck from Toby Finley?
Okay, so Tyler Price's sideboard has the one Kahira, the Orphan Guard, as a companion. We saw that bought in game 1. Has a 3rd copy of Narset Parter of Veils, 2 Crumble to Dust, 2 Wear Tear, 1 Celestial Purge, 2 Dovin's Veto, 2 Chalice of the Void, 2 Leyline of Sanctity, and 2 Dress Down. I like the Narset as just as more sources of card advantage. I love the Celestial Purge as a versatile removal spell. I like the Leylines of Sanctity, and I like the Dress Downs. You know, Dress Down is a card that doesn't need to do a lot to be effective because it cantrips, and sometimes it stops Griefs and Furies from doing cool things. And then it can sometimes stop, a Orcish Bowmaster from making a token. It's a lot of small utility there. And then obviously Leyline of Sanctity, not a great card to draw late, but if you just have one in your opening hand, it is a huge boon against Thoughtseize and Grief.
Yeah, I mean, it even shuts down a lot of the direct damage effects as well. It's just a lot of the ley lines are just something that a Rakdos deck can't deal with that well.
Also stops Orcish Bowmaster from targeting you.
Yeah.
Which can be relevant if you're drawing cards with the One Ring.
Yeah, definitely. All right, on the other side of things, we have Toby Finley's Rakdos Scam deck. How do you think he's going to be sideboarding here to improve his Jeskai control matchup, Ross?
So the Rakdos sideboard, I see 2 Bone Crusher Giant, 1 Brotherhood's End, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Chalice of the Void, 2 Engineered Explosives, 3 Leyline of the Void, and 3 Blood Moon.
Like B-Moons? A lot of basics on the other side.
Yeah, there's a lot of basics in the Jeskai control deck. 5 Island, 3 Plains, and 10 fetch lands to 11 fetch lands. So effective 19 basics. I don't think Blood Moon is going to be particularly effective. This might be a no changes scenario, though I really don't like the removal spells. I'd like to get them out of the deck, but not really seeing anything that I like more. I mean, maybe Bone Crusher Giant is better than something like Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, because it can stop the One Ring's fog ability.
Yeah, it does that. Stomp also deals with Solitude. It doesn't deal with Subtlety, but just being a threat probably makes it better than some of those cards. Maybe better than Terminate. There's still 1 Terminate in the main deck to go along with the 2 Molten Collapses, but yeah, the rest of it is just more interaction, and this is a matchup where you'd like to get less interactive.
All right, well, that is how Ross thinks those players are going to sideboard. Let's see if they agree. But while they're shuffling up here for game number 2, I'd like to take this moment to say thank you to our sponsors. Ultimate Guard is your yeah, they're great. Ultimate Guard's awesome. They have TCG supplies like the Katana sleeves and the Archive deck box. I know I'm running out. I'm running
Industry leader.
industry leader. Look, I came up with that.
I
Okay,
know.
I
I'm
know.
just reminding you.
Look, I need to write out my scripts, right? I don't write out my scripts. That's my big problem. Ultimate Guard's got great products from the Katana sleeves to the Archive deck box. Make sure to check your local game store for those products, and as well as many other Ultimate Guard things. And if they don't have them, say, hey, why not? Thank you so much to Moxfield. Moxfield.com is a great deck building website. Make sure to use Moxfield to build all of your decks and share them with your friends. I've been using it on my personal stream lately, and I've been really digging it. Thank you so much to Wings, etc., for keeping us fed and happy during these long tournament weekends. We were there last night. We're probably gonna go again tonight. And last but definitely not least, our marquee sponsor, TCGplayer.com. Thank you so much for helping us put on this event. TCGplayer.com is your one-stop shop for all things TCG related, from singles and Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Disney's Lorcana, and Magic the Gathering. TCGplayer.com has you covered. Also, check out their sister website, TCG Player Infinite. They post strategy articles on all those games from big names like Hall of Famer Frank Karsten, as well as many other name players, and TCGplayer.com and TCG Player Infinite.
All right, Tyler Price taking a mulligan here to start game 2. I see a prismatic ending in the opener. Probably has a few lands. Finsley's hand I got a glimpse of is not very explosive. Although there's a Ragavan for turn 1. That's an excellent draw. Otherwise, wasn't going to have a turn 1 play because I think the rest of the hand is an Orcish Bowmaster, oh, there was another Ragavan. Okay, so that's the second copy. Missed that one on the first go around.
All right. Tyler Price here going to fetch, likely just getting one of those Triumphs. They don't have too many one-cost interactive pieces here. Relying on fetching early for those Triumphs so that we can cast cheap Leyline Bindings as our primary cheap removal spell.
Yeah, and a very versatile one that is worth putting as Zagoth Triumph in your deck.
Okay, gonna go back to Tyler Price for turn number 2. We're down a game, under the gun against a Ragavan. Let's see if we have the answer. Draws an Arid Mesa for turn. I don't believe. Let's see, do we have? Okay, we do have Prismatic Ending. That's gonna take out Ragavan, exiling it for just the 1 mana. Funny story about Prismatic Ending. For those of you who followed Ross and I's escapades on the SCG Tour and on StarCGames.com for years, you probably know the name Shaheen Sarani. Shaheen Sarani played an Invitational just a few years ago, the one that Corey Baumeister won, and he was paying X plus 1 for every Prismatic Ending with Shaheen Sarani because he did not know what the card did, and it was 4 of in his deck.
You found out on day 2.
I love Shaheen, but that story just kills me. It's so good. All right, so we got a lot of developments here. Orcish Bowmasters for Finsley, but Tyler Price has the perfect answer. Fire Ice takes care of both bodies.
But now we got the second Ragavan that I think Price does not have an answer for. I do see Solitude Subtlety. Is that the One Ring in hand?
Yup.
So we need a 4th land for Tyler Price. Ooh, are we gonna? Finsley thinking about jamming a Bone Crusher Giant? Pass.
Well, I don't think
Is that
he's
a
got
Fury?
another Ragavan.
Oh, it's a Fury. Okay, not another Ragavan.
All right, main phase fetch from Tyler Price. We'll see if he drew the land number 4 so he can play his copy of the One Ring here. If we go shuffle, 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 fetch land, shuffle, 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 I'm going to scream.
With Fury and Molten Collapse in hand, I would have liked to see a more aggressive line. Just jam the Bone Crusher.
I like Jam Bone Crusher, but, you know, Toby Finsley's got to be thinking, oh, I'm playing Bone Crusher Giant in my sideboard for the One Ring, but him playing Stomp here, I agree. If you're going to play the Stomp here, you got to just play the 4/3.
It feels like you're getting value because you're playing both halves of the card, but you're missing out on a Bone Crusher Giant attack that is worth 4 damage to get 2 damage in. You're actually losing 2 damage in the exchange, and you're being less mana efficient. You could have used 3 mana last turn instead of 2. Now you have 3 mana you still need to use to cast that Bone Crusher Giant. You might have wanted to use that for other things. We see that there's nothing really else to use it, but that is a potential punish if Finsley had drawn something like a Dothy Voidwalker this turn, or Shieldred.
Okay, here is the BCG. One turn a little late, but did deal 2 damage, so just -2 damage. Keck W. Tyler Price, we're going to go back his way and see if he draws land number 4. He picked up Kahira last turn, so might deploy that as a defensive measure against Bone Crusher Giant, but we know it's not going to work out too well for him. That Kahira is not long for this world. Okay, it's a 3-2, no abilities.
Just a Warpath Ghoul.
Yeah, it's got a million abilities, but they're not relevant right now. I think it's Vigilance and all of your kitties and your elementals and your nightmares and your dinosaurs and your beasts all gain +1/+1.
And Vigilance.
And Vigilance. I forgot. I missed it. All right. Fetch Swamp here, end of turn. Does this mean Fatal Push? Or just thinning the deck? People be thinning their deck.
They do love it.
All right, finds not dead after all. That could be a nice one. We can actually just send in here with the Bone Crusher, and if it gets blocked, we just not dead after all it. But looks like we're just going to go ahead and play a Fury. Eating the Kahira unless there's a blue card to go with that subtlety. I don't see one.
That is a Mount Doom. I thought it might be.
Mount Doom. Let's get Mount Doom on the screen. This is a brand new dual land from the Lord of the Rings set. It's not a reskin of an old land. It's a black-red pain land that has some extra awesome text on it. But here comes the One Ring. Mount Doom doesn't do anything against the One Ring, which is hilarious.
It's an interesting one in this matchup, though. You know, even as the life totals sort of get whittled down, and the resources get whittled down, it can deal 3, 4, 5 damage over the course of a game pretty easily.
Yeah, and if you're not too worried about your own life total, which in Modern, I think there are only a handful of matchups where your opponent's like actively pressuring you. But, you know, I think this land is certainly cool. I don't love it in this deck, but, you know, I need to see it in play more, and this is a perfect place to be trying out these new cards, right?
Yeah.
No better time than the present. The One Ring. Gonna draw some cards. Why is the Bone Crusher Giant tapped?
It attacked.
Why?
Oh, gotta send a message.
Here's a message for you. Pass the turn. 4 mana. Here's another copy of the One Ring. This is going to reset in Fog. That means Tyler Price didn't have an answer to the board.
Otherwise known as the 2 ring.
We're going to deal you one in response. Nice, nice.
Got him.
I just don't like all the errant dice around. I'm very picky. I'm so sorry. I'm very picky. All right, we're going to draw a card, and we get to, more importantly, replace the One Ring that has the 2 burden counters on it with one that has 0, and then start the chain again. The big fog effect here is what's really important.
Why are we... Is he about to discard the hand size and wants to, like, evoke a Solitude? They both cost you a card.
Yeah, I think he's at 8, so I think he's going to go down to 6 and do a pitch Solitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Could have pretty easily just drawn on Finsley's turn if that was a problem. You could run into Bowmasters, but there's probably not a Bowmaster there. There were opportunities to play one a couple turns ago.
All right, we're going to pitch a Leyline Binding to Solitude, and we're going to use Solitude and eat Fury. Now we're going to go back Finsley's way. We are under the Ring's protection for another turn cycle, and we'll see if Finsley has any more to deploy to the battlefield. Can just sit on this Bone Crusher Giant and use Mountain Doom to do some ping damage. Has a hand with Terminates, Molten Collapse, and 2 copies of Not Dead After All. Not where you want to be in the spot, but still has Tyler down now to 8 life after the burden damage.
It just feels like Mount Doom is going to win this game.
You know, I think you're right. Counterspell. I mean, Solitude can come down at some point and maybe start attacking and gaining life, but Finsley has Terminate, so it's going to be tough. I think I see a 3rd copy of the One Ring in Tyler Price's hand, so it looks like we're going to start by drawing 2 cards. This is the downside of playing the One Ring. It is a very powerful card, but if you don't have a consistent way to gain life over time, those burden counters will start adding up. In a turn, we're going to deal you 1. Mount Doom puts Tyler Price to 7.
That's 2. 2 Mount Doom damage.
It's done more damage to Tyler than it's done to Toby, and that's what matters. Blood Moon's the draw, but with 2 islands and plains on the other side of the table, I don't think it's going to be cast here because it shuts off your own Mount Doom. Here comes Solitude. That's going to eat the Bone Crusher Giant. We do have Molten Collapse we can use. We could also go Not Dead After All plus terminate our own Bone Crusher Giant if we really wanted to. And then we could Molten Collapse on the Solitude. I actually kind of like that line because it keeps pressure on. Our hand is just full of gunk.
We have pressure, Todd. It's called
Mount Doom.
It's called Mount Doom.
The One Ring and Mount Doom both in play.
I like using the Molten Collapse here, saving the instant because you're worried about another EOT Solitude.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Here we go.
Yeah, go to 6 on your upkeep.
Yeah, he's thinking about drawing 2 cards, but says, I don't know if I have the time to do that. We're just going to keep the One Ring at 1 burden counter. This is the opposite of what Gollum did. Gollum was like, draw, draw, draw.
Yeah. You're sort of seeing the downside of the One Ring in these control decks. Price has really had trouble stabilizing the battlefield because of the threat of his own rings, whereas a card like Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, would not have put him in such a tight spot.
Well, Teferi does cost more mana, but it is...
It costs 1 less mana. Teferi costs 3. You
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I was thinking the hero.
Oh, so was I. You just get 2. You get 2 back. Costs 3.
Okay, that's fair. It also is a blue and
fill
a
out
white
the form
card.
and mail in the rebate.
Okay.
It's really annoying, but you get it back eventually in 4 to 6 weeks.
There's an old jingle from Nickelodeon where they're like trying to get you to mail in something for a contest, and I have the jingle in my head, but I don't remember the words that well.
Okay.
You and your mail in rebate got me.
Teferi can bounce the One Ring, and now we don't have any burden counters, no threat of that, but is there... Tyler Price, does he have a way to gain life, or is he just dead in 6 turns?
Dead in 6 turns, he says. Look, Blue-Eye Control has some ways to deal with this, maybe. We can find another Solitude to attack, maybe a counterspell to protect from the Terminate.
Yeah, we're already down 2 Solitudes. I think that's the only way of gaining life in the deck.
All right, Mount Doom triggers. We're going to move to discard. Going back Toby Finley's way, something like Lightning Bolt here would be very impactful. Another Not Dead After All. And I don't know, man. This is getting a little tight, both sides. Toby Finley low on resources that matter, and Tyler Price low on the resource that does matter.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to if Tyler can find Solitude. I don't see a ton of card draw. I see Narset, but that doesn't find Solitude. Oh.
Moon you. Sure.
I think this actively improves Tyler Price's position.
I think so too. Finley, I think, is just like unsure that Mount Doom is going to get the job done by itself, and
But
maybe he's right.
He might be right, but the cards in his hand aren't getting the job done either. The only card that could get the job done is Mount Doom.
All right, going to fetch down to 4 is Tyler Price. We have a bunch of cards in hand we could potentially play here. I'm curious if Tyler's just fetching to have Island. And yeah, the Blood Moon resolves. We're going to go back his way. He's like, thank God. I don't have to worry about Mount Doom anymore.
Yeah. So Price would be at 4 this turn if Finley did not play Blood Moon and instead activated Mount Doom.
I think he fetched to 4. I think life totals aren't updated yet, but...
He fetched to 5. See, he was at 6.
Well, then why are you talking about having to activate Mount Doom 5 times?
I said 6 times.
Interesting. Here's the Teferi Time Raveler found. We already have one in play. A year ago, a lot of answers in hand to Dash Ragavan. Takenuma is a pickup. We can use that to get back something from the graveyard, but unfortunately, most of the removal from Tyler Price does exile, so I don't think there's a creature in the graveyard, so we'd have to get lucky on the mill from Takenuma.
Let's do it. I'd go blind. Hitting a Ragavan would be excellent.
Well, we're going to do it on an instep for no reason. Finds Counterspell. Yeah. This is getting real bad for Toby. I think that Blood Moon is going to cost him the game.
It would have been a hilarious way to win this match. This is one ya. The old Keldon Megalith strategy.
That's another 20-year-old card. Oh no, Keldon Megalith was from Time Trial, right?
Yeah, that is almost 20 years old.
It's 18. That makes me want to crumble to dust.
We can talk into back this Shieldred, but we can't cast it because of our own Blood Moon.
We're going to have some talks with Toby after
Oh, this
this.
Bowmaster. Okay.
Oh, where'd that come from?
Just hiding underneath the other cards in the graveyard.
Like it counterspelled something? I never saw that card. Anyway, 2 Bowmasters now. We're going to start with 1 Bowmaster. And there's Counterspell. We do have to main phase it because of the Teferi Time Raveler. That's why you see him playing it at a somewhat awkward-looking time. If only we had not played this Blood Moon, I think Toby Finley would be cruising into 3-0 right about now.
Yeah. I think he's missed at least 3 activations at this point. You got to imagine the Polluted Delta would not have been cracked if not for the Blood Moon. So
True.
that cancels out one of the activations. So we'll say price would be at a virtual 2.
All right, we're going to go digging. Looks like Swords of Plowshares, but I honestly have no clue what it is. It's just some supplemental.
That might be a Leyline of
sets.
Sanctity.
Leyline of Sanctity? That actually makes some sense. All right, here's another Bowmaster. We're going to hard cast Subtlety.
If you're thinking to yourself, Leyline of Sanctity, that would stop Mount Doom. It would not. Mount Doom does not target.
Really? That's funny, actually.
Yeah, it says each opponent.
All right, well, Finley here thinking about where to put this Orcish Bowmaster, put it on top or bottom. He puts it on top. I don't know that there's any real way out. At this point, it looks like they're cruising for a draw. They're both playing... I mean, they're not playing slow. This is just a long game. Blood Moon versus a control deck, yada yada.
But now that Price knows the Bowmaster's on top, you can just attack for 6 and bounce a Subtlety with your Teferi.
Oh my god, Ross. Tyler Price played an untapped Steam Vents and didn't take any damage.
There's a Blood Moon on the battlefield. It's a mountains enter the battlefield untapped.
That's fine. That's fair. All right, Subtlety return to hand. Since it has Flash, we can use that to protect from something next turn. Move to discard a copy of the ring. We draw the Bowmaster again.
Is that all 4 not dead after alls?
Maybe. I think one of them's a Dothy Voidwalker.
Yeah, it is.
Here's Counterspell on the Terminate that was targeting Subtlety, and now do we want to play the Subtlety here? I think we do. This puts him on a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, and there's another Teferi in hand, so we can run the same play of attack you for 6.
Nice.
Play Teferi, bounce 1 back to my hand. Your Bowmaster's covered. If you don't Bowmaster me, I can still just deploy it as a 3/3 flyer on the end step.
Smash for 6. Finley down to 5.
Oh, yeah, and we do have a Plains, so
4/4 ring. That's just going to give us protection for a turn cycle. We're going to say go.
yeah, so that'll also stop Bowmaster shenanigans, but it still gives... Yeah, and the Bowmaster doesn't block, so...
Okay, well, we drew Ragvan. We're going to start with the Bowmaster, though. This is bait.
So we could ping the Narset.
Yeah.
Ping Teferi.
All right, Narset down. I think it was just to see if there was a counterspell or something, because we do have a Ragavan we can dash this turn, and maybe that finds something.
Well,
chooses...
the Wandering gives you protection, so the Ragavan's not going to
you don't even get the trigger, huh?
Yeah, could have attacked on the Teferi, but that's not relevant.
All right, Toby Finley defeated there in game number 2, with Tyler Price evening things up with that Jeskai control deck. What you got for me, Ross? Look like you want to say something.
I wish we had seen Mount Doom try to win that game.
The real thing is that when all hope is gone, the one ring is you under lock and key, Mount Doom can get the job done.
Can.
It could have.
You put it in your deck.
You gotta believe, Mr. Frodo.
Would have been the best Mount Doom I've ever seen.
I'll carry this for you. Or whatever. You know what he says.
Now,
Sean Astin.
Now, not only do you have to win this game 3, players are under some time pressure. I don't know if they're aware of the clock, but as we've been saying all day, a draw is pretty bad. It won't knock the players out, but it will force them to win all of their remaining matches if they want to make our top 4.
Well, Finley and Price here both getting ready to play game number 3 pretty quickly, so I think they are aware of the time constraints. We're going to draw opening 7s here, and Finley is going to be on the play with Rakdos Scam, and we'll see if he's got powerful turn 1 start of a evoke creature plus not dead after all, or one of those other undying effects. I
think
see a pretty weak one.
I saw 2 copies of Blood Moon, and yeah, the second copy's pretty bad.
Never look. When you look, you waste 5 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think Finsley. Obviously, this is a somewhat rogue Jeskai control deck. Finsley doesn't have access to the list. When you look at the list, you realize Blood Moon not very effective. So many basics, so many fetches to find them. I think if he sees the list, he would wish that those were in the sideboard right now.
Well, let's see if any of them are in the 6-card hand. We're going to take a look at the fresh set and see what we want to put back. 2 Blood Moons again. They're sticking together in the deck there, eh?
At least we could put one of them back.
All
Maybe
right.
pitch the other one to this Fury.
Let's see what we got. I see lands, Fable the Mirror Breaker. I don't see a turn 1 play. I feel like Finsley should have went to 5. This is a very weak opener.
Yeah, very slow. If we can find a Not Dead After All or Undying Evil, you can start doing some stuff. But you can't do it with Grief, though. It has because you don't have another black card.
I don't even think that's a Grief. I think that's a Takenuma.
It's a Takenuma?
Yeah, I think he kept like 3 land, or 2/3 land, Fable, Blood Moon, Fury, something like that.
Fable is a good card.
Yeah, I agree. It's real great against the counter spells in Tyler Price's deck. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure that's a Takenuma, though.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well,
And we do find Not Dead after all. So if he wants to go for the Fury, Not Dead after all this turn, that's great. He can pitch either Blood Moon or he can pitch the Fable the Mirror Breaker. Decides to not do either. We're going to stop calling this deck Rakdos Scam and start calling it Rakdos Mid, because it is medium at best.
well, there was a scam in game 2. It was the Blood Moon.
Self-scam.
Yeah, Toby Finley scammed himself there.
It's like you walk outside and something falls on your head that was of your own design.
Update. Will Hall continuing the climb back again.
Let's go.
With his match, he's 2-1.
He's going to be like 8-2 after 2 events, still not qualified. Sorry, buddy. Tiebreaker's too bad. Try not to lose round 1.
He is rooting for a draw here.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. No play on 2 for Finsley. We're going to go back Price's way after the fetch. Rogran Triumph is the pickup, and we're going to pass back. Now, Price, I think, has a Fire Ice in hand, and if he is unable to answer a Fable, may want to Ice on the upkeep here to prevent a 3-drop.
Yeah, be a strong play. Maybe just wants to keep it. If you're worried about a Fable, at least the Fire deals with 1/2 of it, rather than just delay the inevitable.
1/3 of it. Let's be real.
I don't know. There's not many cards left in Finley's hand to even take advantage of the.
Well, we don't go for the Fable. We go for Blood Moon. This actually might be a great Blood Moon spot. Tyler Price does have a second island, but no white mana anymore.
Second island and or a counter spell, so that's pretty critical. That'll answer this Fable, which is I would say the likely play, but maybe not.
All right, we're going to dash Ragavan. We'll see if Counterspell wants to take care of that one. I know we have Not Dead After All in hand, but Blood Moon is shutting off access to the extra black. We dashed with red instead of black. Big mistake there.
Yeah, it would have been better to just tap both red sources. Now we just get fired.
Yep, and I think Finsley realizes it's a mistake. We're going to go down to 17, pass back to Tyler Price's way.
Yeah, I think I see a Plains into Price's hand too, so he's pretty well set up through this Blood Moon. Just not playing it because it's unnecessary.
Might be that Arid Mesa again. We'll have to wait and see. Another Ragavan picked up. Do we dash the same way again? No, we dash. We figured it out. Look, this is why the rats get the cheese in the maze, right? Because they hit a wall and they're like, oh, crap. And they go back and they try again. And now Finsley is coming for the cheddar, but Subtlety is going to put it on top of the deck.
Yeah, now Price is going to generate.
Now we get the Fury Scam. Let's go, Fury Scam. Pitch Fable the Mirror Breaker.
Ooh.
Not dead after all.
I would rather keep the Fable over the removal spell, yeah.
And Finsley agrees after some consideration.
Yeah. Love this.
Bang. Any
now,
counterspells?
Yeah. You have Fable in hand, and you have the Ragavan on top of your deck. That's a lot of good threats.
Oh, he has the token, the Wicked Roll. Toby, you got among men.
looks like the weird Leyline of Sanctity, or at least what we speculated was Leyline of Sanctity. So that's something you... Okay, go for a ring first.
Yep.
Smart. We'll just buy some time.
Well, I guess you're right about the planes.
That's
Okay.
one of the Europlanes.
Down to
Get
19.
fancy.
We're going to draw for turn. Finds Ragavan. We got Fable the Mirror Breaker. We can go ahead and play that and start getting Chapter 2 online next turn to discard some extra bad cards. I don't want to say bad cards because Ragavan's like $100 or whatever, but
That's a
get
pretty
it.
good card here, too. So I doubt that one will get discarded. But maybe if the top of the deck is bad.
All right, we're going to go back to Tyler's Way. Fog effect from the One Ring in effect. And now we're going to go back to Tyler Price's Way at a healthy, I believe, 18 life now after the 1 damage from the ring. All right, we're going to draw 2 out of Burning Counter, see what we pick up. I see a Subtlety and a Hollowed Fountain. We are under Blood Moon, but with 2 islands and a plains, I think we're doing just fine.
You say Hallowed Fountain. I say Hallowed Mountain.
That's pretty good. All right, 7 minutes left on the clock, but both players playing at a brisk pace, and we're going to try to see if we can get this match ended before the clock runs out. Blood Moon might make that a little bit difficult.
Yeah, Tyler Price is now significantly slowed down. That Fury Scam turn was a big swing.
All right, decides to pass. It looks like he pulled a Subtlety and that Leyline of Sanctity to the front of his hand. We're going to go Chapter 2. We found a Not Dead After All. Do we keep it to play around a Supreme Verdict? Maybe that's not even going to come because the second white man is locked out.
Yeah, I think you got to send those away. Those are the cards that were clogging your hand last game. You don't want to have them clog your hand again. But Finley disagrees, keeps it,
Okay.
dashes the Ragavan while holding it up.
Subtlety going to be hardcast here, and that's going to put Ragavan back on top of the deck where he belongs.
Yeah, checks the Ragavan and checks the Goblin Shaman, and Tyler Price has a Solitude in hand, so we can evoke that one with the Leyline to answer the Fury. I think at 18 life with a 1 ring, yeah, it's well worth it.
Yeah. And that's going to exile it too, so Not Dead After All. Sends it to a zone that Not Dead After All doesn't count.
Oh, Fury is not in the graveyard, sir.
Wicked Roll does go to the graveyard, though, and it triggers, and Tyler Price goes to 17, down to 15 from the burden counters.
And now, can the 1 ring deliver some goods?
It usually does, and the best good is usually the second copy of the One Ring.
Yeah. Unlike the previous games, in this one, Tyler has a very healthy life total, so he has some room to spare. He could take 9 more off of this 1 ring and see 9 more cards off of it before being that worried about having to find another copy or a Teferi to reset it.
All right, looks like we're going to go ahead and play another copy of the ring to get rid of the burden. First, we're going to attack for 3 with a Subtlety. Interesting. I guess that means that we're definitely playing the ring, huh?
Yeah. 5 minutes on... Ooh. We trying to bait an attack to have this other Subtlety?
Maybe.
I like getting the other Subtlety down this turn because Finley is at 18, and 2 Subtleties is an exact 3-turn clock.
All right, Fable transforms. We're going to draw for turn. Finds the Ragavan again. We're going to go Subtlety, put it back on top. Haha.
We're still going on top?
I don't know if it's good enough anymore. Yeah, we're going to put it on bottoms, Toby Finley, and no attacks available here. We're going to go back Tyler Price's way. We're going to take 3 damage from the 1 ring. That's going to put us down to 12 life. We can draw 4 more cards here this turn, and we did pick up a Teferi, so we can bounce the ring at the very least. But I do think I saw another ring hanging out over there. So here's a big 6-point attack.
Yeah, I think whatever we do, we got to hold up the counter spell.
Draw 4, take your base. It's like Uno, man.
Yeah, at this point, things are pretty well in hand for Tyler Price. Just has to be careful and finish this game with some haste. Only 3 minutes on the clock, but does get the other 5 turns. He'll have at least 2 turns after time is called. And all he needs at this point is 2 turns to finish off the game with the 2 Subtleties. Attacking for 6 in the air each turn.
All right, looks like we're going to play Teferi. Curious what he decides to bounce.
Yeah. I like getting a Teferi down. It just limits the amount of things you have to worry about. And if Toby wants to waste time attacking it, sure.
I think he played 2 lands this turn.
Oh.
Yeah, because I think last turn he played Subtlety with only 3 mana up. I don't think it's a huge deal.
Well, Subtlety with 3 mana up is 7, and now he's got 8.
Oh, I'm so stupid. Leave me alone.
Oh.
Blood Moon. Okay.
Okay, that's aggressive. Drew a Solitude. That's pretty good, but do you even want to Solitude Toby at this point when you've got the clock all sewn up?
Probably not. With Counterspell up, you just take it, say go, take the hit for 4. Don't have to Counterspell the Blood Moon.
There's a Celestial Purge too.
Yeah.
Why don't we just purge the Reflection? Ooh. We're getting aggressive. Yeah. Whatever we do, I like holding up the Counterspell.
Looks like he's gonna tap the island, but that means that if he wants, I guess a cast Blood Moon is not really gonna change much.
Yeah, you can just let that resolve.
All right, Reflection down, gonna get exiled. Can't imagine Finley has a good way out here. We're in a lot of trouble.
At this point, I'm mainly worried about Tyler speeding up. If he ends up with only a couple turns and Finley finds some good cards off the top, he might be able to stall the game long enough to force a draw, and that would be a disaster because this game is pretty well in hand.
Yeah, we're gonna start off with the main phase Orcish Bowmasters. We have Counterspell Fort. Now here comes the Goblin Shaman attacking the Teferi for 1. We're gonna get a treasure token. Cards in hand, I believe, are not dead after all in Blood Moon, so that's going to be the end of Toby's turn. And if Tyler Price can find another counterspell or something similar, I don't know if Toby can punch through it.
Yeah, we'll take 4 down to 8. We'll draw another 6 cards between the One Ring and the draw step.
Yep, and we can play another copy of the One Ring.
There's a Leyline Binding. That one's pretty good. Though we don't have the Zagoth Triumph, but Leyline Binding does cost 3. We can fetch Triumph.
Draw 5.
We're going to hit time on this turn, which means turn 0 will be Tyler's. He'll get 2 more after this. Close out this game. That should be enough. Yeah, we can Teferi, bounce the Goblin Shaman. That's nice.
You can also bounce the ring. Going down to 3 next turn is pretty scary. If we have a ring in hand, we can just play the ring and bounce the Goblin. I like that play.
Yeah, bounce the Goblin, play the ring. Okay, we'll bounce our own ring. Also fine.
Also finds Leyline of Sanctity. Can play that. Attack for 6, puts Finley down to 6. Basically on no outs, but Tyler's just trying to make sure that he's got it all rolled up. I believe I see a counterspell over there too, so. Doesn't even play the One Ring from hand, says I don't need it. And discard a pile of lands, maybe a Solitude.
I think we'll be all ramped up. Does look like one of our backups is still playing. There's one more match going. Jonathan Hakes, that's the Jeskai Fairies deck, playing Jacob Endicott on Temur Murktide, splashing for Questing Druids. We might be able to catch the end of that match.
All right, here we go. Toby, last chance for romance. Let's take a look at the top of the deck. This is turn number 1 of turns. Draws, finds.
It's another. Oh, it's a Voidwalker.
Voidwalker.
That doesn't
None
do
of
anything.
these do anything, and that's a Jeej. Attack for 2. I'll take it. Ouch. Well, Tyler here says, you know what? I got mana to burn. We're going to play Subtlety to block. I still have Counterspell at the ready.
And now a removal spell doesn't stop me from having lethal. Toby just milking the camera time.
You know what? That's admirable. Yes, Blood
Yeah.
Moon him. Give him the business.
Yeah, let's add
Counterspell it.
insult to injury. Counterspell it. Sure, why not?
It is exiled.
Yeah, the counterspell is exiled.
The counterspell is exiled. He's
Oh,
dead.
yeah.
Just leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Attack you for 12. Yeah, plus the Teferi.
Bang.
Okay, finally, Tyler Price takes it down with Jeskai control.